Hi, welcome to Nevin's Lab, and it's juice review time, Jax Vanilla Custrad time. I'm re-recording this intro because I wasn't happy with the previous ones. Jax Vanilla Custrad, well, that's the custard that I vape most of the time. You can see a few bottles there behind me. And the last time I ordered some from Jax, he asked me if I'd do a review. So this is it. But it's a review with a difference. I'm going to review one flavour, the vanilla custard flavour, in a range of different devices and give you my impression of how the flavour changes depending on what you're vaping it in. Hopefully that'll help. A bit about Jax. He makes his own juice out of Manchester, I believe. I came across him on Twitter. He has a website which is jax-vanillacustardvapes.com. Relatively new website he's just set up, and you can go and order the juices from there. It's 10 mils of juice will cost you £4, 30 mils is £12, 100 mils is £25, and 500 mils is £84. Those are reduced prices at the moment. I'm not sure how long that offer will last for. He does 8 flavours: banana, vanilla custard, blueberry vanilla custard, chocolate, raspberry donut, rhubarb, strawberry waffle and vanilla custard. So without further ado, I guess we can move on to the rest of the video that I'd already recorded, where I vape this juice and tell you what it's like. I've also got one other flavour he sent me which I'm going to do right at the end. Let's start, and we're going to start off with a bog standard clearomizer. Now, I've got it on my variable wattage mod here, but I've got it turned right down to 3 watts, so it's equivalent to your most basic ego battery, I would say. Let's see what it tastes like. So that's a really light flavour. You're getting a nice bit of custard there. It's a nice custardy flavour, not particularly intense, but it's light, it's flavoursome, and considering it's just a basic clearomizer from my local shop, and also considering this clearo seems to be a bit busted, it's gurgling, it doesn't actually taste too bad. Next up is the Pro Tank Mini. So I would say that this would be the next step up from a clearo. Most people start out, I started out vaping on these, most people start out with those, and then you potentially would move up to something like this because it fits on an ego battery, and it's the next step up. So again at 3 watts, and then I'll turn it up and see what that's like. So actually, in the Pro Tank at 3 watts, it's really not doing much. I actually got more flavour out of the clearo than I did this. Let's just quickly turn it up. So we're going to put it up to 10 watts. And that's really not bad. It's starting to get more flavour through. It's a slightly warmer vape, which I find goes well with custard. What better than hot custard? That's definitely richer than the clearo, and the flavour started to come through a lot better now on the Pro Tank Mini. But you do need to turn the wattage up to start getting that flavour out. I do know that with the Pro Tank, if you start turning it up over 10 watts, struggles with wicking, and you start getting not so much flavour. Next up, the Aspire Nautilus. This tankomizer, clearomizer, was my all-day vape for some considerable time. I'm using it less and less now because I've got other things to choose from. I'm going to turn this one up to 12 watts, 12.5 watts, which is what I always tended to vape this particular tank at, and we'll tell you what that's like. Better vapour production. Now that's coming through quite sweet. You get quite a lot of sweetness through on this particular device. It's losing some of the richness. You don't have so much creamy flavour. So I would say it's not too bad. So we'll move on. Staying with Aspire, we're now going to move on to the Atlantis. That was the Nautilus. The Atlantis. So this is a sub-ohm tank. Sub-ohm tanks have become popular in the market these days. There's the Atlantis, there's the Kanga sub tank. I've got one at the back there. There's Delta 2 and a whole range of others. I think there's about 8 or 9 of them out there at the moment. So, but I'm going to try it in this one because it's got the standard coils in it. My sub tank's got the rebuildable in, and give you my impression with that. Much better cloud, better throat hit on that one as well. That's got more of a throat hit, and so it's less sweet. With the Nautilus, it was a very sweet flavour, very sugary almost. With this, the sweetness is dampened down slightly, and you're getting more of the richness of the creams, more of a sort of buttery flavour. Still sweet. Obviously, it's a custard; it's got to be sweet. But I'd say that's a more even flavour. This juice obviously likes lower ohms to drive out the flavour a bit more. So next up is one of my favourite atomizers. This is the Kayfun V4. I've got this with a 1 ohm coil. I tend to use Clapton coils now. I've been making my own wire and going mad with Clapton coils. So this has got a single 1 ohm Clapton coil in it. We'll see how that vapes. So that's really nice. We're getting a warmer vape with the Kayfun. If you know your Kayfuns, they're generally on the warmer side. Warmth and custard, as I said before, nice warm custard, it goes down really well. Again, not too sweet. It's nice and rich and creamy on the flavour. I said that's a really good balance. It's not too intense, it's not too heavy. That's a really nice all-day vape for this particular custard, and certainly the Kayfun is something I like to carry around with me, vaping the custard. So now we're going to go to what is my all-day vape, and this is what I take to work with me. So this is the e-grip by Joytech. I've got the rebuildable atomizer inside this. It does come with standard heads as well. I don't use the standard heads. I tend to find that with the heavier VG juices, they don't wick very well. so I very quickly moved on to the rebuildable base. Again, Clapton coil. This is running about 1.3 ohms, and let's give it a vape. Now that's just delicious. That's why I love this for my all-day vape. It's compact, fits in my pocket, and the flavour is just brilliant. And with this particular custard, it's almost buttery. The creaminess is excellent. The sweetness is there, but it's not sugary sweet. It's a background sweetness. It's a really nice warm vape, and just the flavour is stronger, and it hits the back of the throat really nicely. I absolutely love this juice. I don't know if I mentioned the Jax juices, or this particular juice is an Atty VG 20 PG, so it's on the heavier side of the VG, which is what I like. Now we're going to move on to a couple of drippers. First of all, the Magma. This is a real flavour Atty, so if you're a flavour chaser, then you'll certainly have one of these or something similar in your arsenal to get the flavour out, and see what Jax Custard is like in a Magma. Good vapour. That's really rich. It coats the back of your tongue with rich, sweet, custardy flavours. The creaminess comes through. It's buttery again. That's a really tasty vape. A little bit perhaps on the sweeter side than the Aspire. I think again, dual coil 0.5 ohms, so it's a similar ohms to the Aspire, but the way it delivers the flavour, it's pushing out a bit more of the sweetness perhaps than the other one. That's really nice for an evening vape after dinner. It's certainly got a bit more sweetness in there, a bit more puddingy. Now we're going to try and blow some clouds. I've got an Onslaught here. This is built with tri-coil build. I think it's about 0.25, 0.3 ohms, something like that, quite low. And let's see if we can blow a cloud with it. That's really nice. That is so tasty. The sweetness has dampened down again, and we've got rich, buttery, creamy flavours coming through. It fills your whole mouth. It's just delicious. I'm gonna have, and you know what? I've got a box mod here, so I'm gonna take it off the mech mod. I'm gonna put it on my little smock box mod, and I'm going to crank it up. So I'm going to set this at 55 watts, which is pretty high. And this goes up to 65. It will fire it at 65, but it kind of, you lose the flavour at that sort of power. So 55 watts, tri-coil. This is telling me it's 0.2 ohms. I think it's a little bit higher than that. Let's give it a vape. That's really nice. Big cloud of vapour. Yeah, if you're into your cloud chasing, this juice definitely delivers both on vapor and on flavour. When you drop the ohms right down and you crank the power up, it's really delivering. I'm really enjoying it. In fact, I'm not really a low ohm vapor. I built this specifically for this review just to see what it would do, but I'm enjoying it so much. I might play with a few more low ohm builds. What the hell. That's delicious. Right, I did say at the beginning of the review that I was going to do one other flavour. I have tried Jax chocolate custard. He sent that to me with a previous order, and to be honest, for me it was a little bit on the sweet side. I don't like really sweet, sickly flavours. I'm sure there are those of you out there that do like the really sweet ones, and if you do, it's very chocolatey and very sweet. I told Jax that was the case for me, and he sent me a little bottle of donut. Now the donut flavour in his list says raspberry donut, so I'm not certain if this is raspberry donut or if it's just plain donut, or maybe I'm a donut, who knows. So I've loaded that up in my massive 26650 Plume Veil, dual Clapton coils running about 0.5 ohms, excuse me, and we'll see how that vapes. That's really nice. That's not too sweet. That's got a similar level of sweetness actually as the vanilla custard, but it's got that a really nice donutty flavour. I think it is the raspberry donut, because I can taste that sort of fruity raspberry background. Now that's interesting that I like that, because I don't like raspberries, but this I like. This is the raspberries aren't overpowering. It's just a background raspberry note. It smells great too. One more go on this. Yeah, that's very tasty. I might vape away on a bit of that a little bit later on. To close it off, I guess what I would say is that Jax Vanilla Custrad, it's a great custard. There's a lot of them out there. I would say this was on the subtle end of the custards that are available. There are some really rich ones around. It definitely flows clouds if that's your thing, but what it really does for me is it delivers great flavour, and I'd say that to get the most out of it, you want to be vaping it on a sub-ohm tank. The Kayfun is great, and also in the drippers. I have tried it in my Genesis atomizer as well. I'm struggling with hotspots at the moment, so I've not added that in the review. I struggle with Genesis atomizers in general. But when it does work well, it's really nice, a very clean flavour, and you get a very clear difference between the flavour on the inhale, nice vanilla sweetness on the inhale, and then you get the creaminess on the exhale. So it's really good. If you like your Genesis atomizers, it's pretty good in one of those as well. As for the standard clearos, you won't do the juice justice in one of those standard clearos. It tastes nice, don't get me wrong, and if that's all you vape and you like custard, then you'll probably like this custard in it. But if you want to get the most out of Jax custard, stick it in a dripper, stick it in a sub-ohm tank, and you'll really enjoy the flavour. I think I'm going to close out on a quick go on the Onslaught and say cheerio. that's definitely the favourite. Thanks very much for watching, and don't forget, if you want to go and get some juice from Jax Custard, then it's Jax Vanilla Custard Vapes.com. Thanks for watching. Come back again. Cheerio.